If I told you it was possible for you to be able to generate more referrals without ever asking anyone, would you want to know how? In other words, if you did not have to pick up the phone, call one of your clients or customers and say, do you have any referrals for me? Or if you didn't have to type out an email and say, hey, do you happen to have any referrals for me? If you didn't have to do either one of those things, would you be interested in understanding how to do it? My guess is probably yes. And if so, then I want to encourage you to listen intently, as today I'm going to share with you 5 different strategies you can begin to use starting today that will help you generate more referrals without ever asking. Now, before I get to these 5 strategies, I need to help you understand the core principle. And the good news is that you actually already understand the core principle behind what I'm going to share. Because if I were to ask you this question, over the last 3 to 6 months, if you were to think back over all the companies that you've actually referred to other people, what is the one thing that you would think that is common to all of those companies? If you think back, my guess is your answer would come, I kind of like those companies, or I kind of love those companies, right? There's something that they did that encouraged you to love the company or love their product or love their service so much that you wanted to refer and remark to other people, you ought to try this. In other words, the key to being able to generate more referrals is always to increase customer love. That's it. That's the secret. Now, how to get there, that's what we're going to talk about. But the key is, how do I increase customer love? Because when customers love, they spontaneously want to tell other people about their experience with you. For example, a couple months ago, my wife and I went to celebrate our 40th wedding anniversary at one of the Excellence resorts in Cancun, the Riviera Cancun property. We had a phenomenal experience there. The people were great. The food was great. The amenities were great. The rooms were great. Like, every part of the experience was just phenomenal. I met people who had been there 15 times, 17 times, 18 times, 33 times. Like, people had a great experience at this property. So when I came back and I was talking to people, I would spontaneously tell them, hey, next time you're thinking about where to go, you ought to go to one of the Excellence resorts. The one we went to, the Riviera Cancun, was great. And I'd tell them the story about it. I've probably referred over 50 people in the last couple months to go check it out. And I'd say, hey, let me send you the link, and I'll send them the link to that. Right now, I'm literally telling you about them. But if you think about that, they haven't paid me a dime. They never asked me to refer. I spontaneously did it simply because I experienced something that my wife and I loved, and I want to tell other people about it. So that's the key. If you really want to get more referrals without having to ask, you simply need to increase the customer love that your people have. Corollary would be, if you're not getting a lot of referrals, it means you're not experiencing a lot of customer love. We got to fix that. So the good thing about customer love is you can actually engineer it. It doesn't just happen randomly. It happens because you engineer it. So I want to give you 5 things you can engineer now into your company that will increase the probability that you're going to get a lot more referrals moving forward. So here we go. Number 1, you need to engineer your products and services for more love. Engineer your products and services for more love. Primary mistake that a lot of business owners and entrepreneurs make is they think about a product or service they want to offer or they want to build, and then they build it or offer it. But they're thinking about them. They're not thinking about their customers. But you and I are in business not because we come up with ideas for us. We're in our business because we need to solve a problem for a customer or a client. So therefore, we ought to start with them, not with us. And it's not that we just solve the problem. It's that we need to solve the problem in a way that they want it to be solved. For example, if you talk to your customers, you're going to find that some of them want the easy button. They don't want to do anything. They want you to do the whole thing for them. Other people, you're going to find, hey, we actually just want to know how, and then we want to do it. And you've got to decide which group do you want, because if you're going after this side, but that your people want this, they're not going to be happy. You got to figure out what do they want and the way they want it. Some people want exclusivity and one-on-one. Other people want group and communal experience. Other people want high quality. Other people really want cheap prices. Like, you've got a group of people that want to solve a problem, but the way they want it solved is very different. You need to define for your customers, your ideal customer avatar, what problem do they want solved, and then how do they want it solved? And for that, you simply just need to talk to them and find out not only what problem do they want solved, but how do they want it solved? Because if you solve the problem that they have in the way that they want it solved, they're going to fall in love with you, no question. So what do you need to change about your products and services? What customers do you need to talk to? What prospects do you need to talk to? And how can you get that information? And then use that information to engineer your products and services so that from this point forward, People are going to fall in love with your products and services because they're not what you think is important. They're what they think is important in the way that they want it. So that would be number one. Engineer your products and services for more love. Number two, the second thing you want to engineer is you want to engineer your customer onboarding for more love. Engineer your customer onboarding for more love. Think back over the products and services you've bought over the last 3 to 6 months. How many of those companies have actually done onboarding well? My guess is it's probably close to zero. Most companies fail here miserably, which means that there's a wide open pathway for you. Because if you actually do onboarding well, customers are going to love you because very few companies actually do. They do very little follow-up. They just get the sale, they're done. In your case, you're not only going to get the sale, but you're going to follow up immediately and consistently over a span of time until those people are getting the result that they want. So what I would encourage you to do, and I'll give you 3 real simple ideas if you want to improve your customer onboarding, is number one, think process. Instead of thinking of onboarding like I sent them an email after they bought, that is not onboarding. You'd be thinking about the whole process from immediately after they purchase to the first hour, the first day, the first week, the first month, the first quarter. Like you ought to be thinking about that process. What do we need to do to help onboard over the course of that span of time? And follow up with them during that span of time. Not just get the sale and move on, but build in that relationship over the course of the next 3 months, let's just say. So one, think process. Number two, think small. One of the mistakes that a lot of people make is they give too much in that first email, for example, or in that first call, or that first meeting. And most people can't deal with all that. They get overwhelmed. So just think about how can I put this out in small nuggets? Because you're thinking process, you don't have to all do it in one call or one meeting. You get little nuggets here, let them get some success, and then they move on to the next thing and they get some success, and then the next thing, and then it gets some success, and the next thing. And so just think in terms of small nuggets instead of giving them the bucket of stuff that you're going to be doing for them. And the third thing I would suggest if you want to do good at customer onboarding is surprise people. There's a great line in the movie Finding Forrester when Forrester says to Jamal about romance, he says, an unexpected gift at an unexpected time. It's such a great line, an unexpected gift at an unexpected time. And so in your customer onboarding, what I would encourage you to do is put in a couple things in process that don't cost you a lot of money, but would surprise that other person. And they're going to go, I didn't know I was going to get this. Wow, that's pretty cool. Because anytime you give them something a little bit extra, they fall in love with you. So think about your customer onboarding. There's wide open territory here because very few companies do it well, but you do it well and people are going to love you. That's number two. Number three, the third thing you want to engineer is you want to engineer your customer service for more love. Engineer your customer service for more love. It's not just the product or service that someone buys that they want. It's the experience they have with it. And when you think about the experience, it's a bunch of things. It's not one thing. So for example, let's say you've gone to a restaurant and you had a bad experience, and you've gone to a restaurant and you've had a good experience. The one you went to was a bad experience. Just think about what it was. Like you walked in and the place was maybe too dark, or maybe it was too cold, it was too loud, it was hard to hear, you had to wait, but there wasn't a place for you to wait. And then when you go to your table, part of the table wasn't cleaned off, and then you're waiting for the server to come, and it takes a long time for them to arrive at the table. And then when the food comes, the food's okay, but some of it's cold when it's supposed to be hot, not really a good thing. One of the settings was missing a piece of silverware. It goes on, right? You go to the bathroom, and the bathroom's kind of junky, and you leave there and think, I'm never coming back. It wasn't just one thing. It was lots of things that caused you to say, that was a terrible experience. Same thing when you think about when you had a good experience with, like you walked in and the lighting was just right. There was a nice ambiance. The sound in the place was loud enough so you could feel like you could have an individual conversation with your spouse or a friend, but everyone wasn't eavesdropping on you. There's enough space between the tables. The server was attentive, but not aggressively attentive. The food that was supposed to be hot was hot. The food was incredibly tasty. They added a couple little extra things that you were surprised by. You went to the bathroom, and the bathroom was really elegantly designed and well taken care of, and there are nice hand towels for you to wipe your hands off afterwards. And it was just an unbelievable experience, but it wasn't because they did one thing right. It was because they did lots of things right. Jan Carlson wrote a book years ago called Moments of Truth, where he talked about this idea that every moment that a customer comes in contact with you, You have an opportunity to either have a positive or a negative experience for that customer, and you want to engineer all of those. And so what I would encourage you to do is just put a circle on a piece of paper and start thinking about all the encounters that every one of your customers has with you and your company, and they could experience something either positive or negative. And then what I want you to do is look at that list of all those different encounters and then say, okay, which ones are not? Because the fastest way to create a wow is to get rid of an unwow. So just look around and say, hey, we don't do a good job at this. We don't do a good job at this. We don't do a good job at that. Let's fix those things first. Because if you fix the things that tick people off, you're automatically going to make people feel better. And then take those things that tick them off and say, how can we make them a wow? If you could turn around an unwow and make it a wow, that will win over big time. And you'll get a lot more customer love. You don't have to wow people on everything. You just need to have a handful of things that people walk away and they go, man, that was incredible how they did that thing. Or I really love the taste of that thing. Or that experience of that person, like, that would just blew me away. You just need a couple of those things and people love you. So that's number 3. So what do you need to do to improve your customer service so that you're going to engender more and more customer love? Then that brings us to the 4th key. The 4th key is that you want to engineer your team for more love. Engineer your team for more love. Most of your customers or clients are probably not going to interact with you, right? If you're building your company, you're scaling it, they're going to be interacting with your team. And that means that they're going to make decisions about your company based on those individuals. So if you do not have the right people on your team, it's going to be really hard to get a lot of customer love, right? If somebody calls in and they get Frank on this line and they get George on this line, and Frank is awesome, but George is terrible, anyone that comes into George's line is going to have a bad experience with your company, and they're going to tell people about how bad you are. Remember, people tell more people about a bad experience than they tell about a good experience. On the other hand, if they come over here and they have Franklin, then they're going to have a great experience with them, and they're going to be talking about, oh man, I love your company. And it's really simple. It comes down to this. When you're hiring people, don't just hire people because they're competent at something. You want to hire people who also have a great attitude, because it's very difficult to train people who have bad character, who don't have a good attitude, to have it. It's very easy to train people in skills, but it's hard to train people with the attitude. So if you hire people who don't have a good attitude, it's going to be really hard for them to deliver great service. If you hire people who are resourceful, it'll be really easy for them to fix problems. If you hire people who are real collaborative and people who care, they're going to be the kind of people who deliver the kind of service you want. But if you hire people who are just good at a skill set, but have a bad attitude, and they're not really collaborative and not really resourceful, those people are not going to deliver the kind of service that you want, and you're not going to get love. It really comes down to hiring people and moving people around to make sure the people who are customer facing are people that you want to be customer facing. And then once you hire those people, then it comes down to the managing of those people, and most importantly, to the training of those people. Because you know and I know that it's so easy to project onto other people what we think good customer service looks like. But that is not how everybody thinks. They don't have the same experiences that you have. They didn't have the same parenting that you have. So your concept of great service and theirs may be radically different. Your job as the leader is to make sure that you're training your people and that your leaders are training your people in what great customer service looks like. So it's not just hiring good people, it's also the managing and the training of those people. You put all those together and you're going to have a great team that will be able to deliver great customer love. Just like that when I talked to you about the Cancun Riviera Resort with the Excellence Resorts. Remember, in their case, those people were remarkable. Why? Because they'd all been trained. They probably hired those people, they managed them well, and then they trained them to deliver great customer service. So that's number 4. And the 5th key thing that you want to engineer into your company if you want to get more love is you want to engineer your marketing for more love. Engineer your marketing for more love. Marketing, most people think about in terms of how can I generate more leads, but they're not really thinking about marketing in terms of you telling the story about your company, and they're often not even thinking about marketing to their own customers and clients. But your marketing ought to be telling a story, and the story that you want to tell is one where your people are going to think highly about your company. So how can you get more love from your customers and clients in your marketing? Well, you start marketing more of your case studies. Every time they see a case study and they see somebody else succeeding, they feel better about your company. And they feel, wow, they're getting good results for other people too. Now I don't mind telling my friend about the experience with this company because it's not just me. They've done this with lots of other people. Whenever you hear a customer success story, make sure you tell that. If you get a text, make sure you screenshot the text and send that on. If you have a testimonial, add more testimonials. You don't want 3 testimonials. You want 50 testimonials, 100 testimonials. You want hundreds of testimonials. The more that you can share those stories and put them out there, the more the people that are currently your customers are going to start going, hey, I feel good about this company. Look at all the people who are getting positive results. And the more that you tell those stories, the more comfortable they're going to feel to tell their friends about their experience with your company, because it's not just them. Like, all these people are having these great experiences. So that you literally, by choosing what you're marketing and how you're marketing, get to shape the narrative of your story so that you're going to get more love from your customers and clients. And then when new people come on, they're actually going to already be inclined to think, I love this company because I've been reading all these incredible stories about other people. So you literally can engineer customer love. And if you engineer customer love, people are spontaneously going to want to tell other people about their experience with you. You're going to generate more referrals consistently if you deliver great customer love. And there you go. You've got 5 different things you can begin to engineer starting today that can help you generate more customer love. When you get more customer love, you get more referrals, and you don't even have to ask for them. So I hope you enjoyed this episode of Growth School. And if you did, I encourage you to hit the subscribe button on whatever platform you're listening to this on or watching it on, because my commitment to you is week in and week out to give you actionable ideas that can help you grow and scale a self-operating business that can double every 12 to 36 months. And since we were just talking about hiring people, I'd encourage you to watch this other video here on how to hire more A players. That said, until next week, to your accelerated success, Bruce out.